So hi, I'm John.
And I'm Jo.
Welcome to our podcast, Extraordinariness,
where we explore the motivations behind ordinary people's extraordinary accomplishments.
Hello, my name is Andy Ibbott. I'm a stroke survivor and I've got aphasia. Now, most people don't know about aphasia. Aphasia is the ability to talk, but there are 7 stages. Naught was they have the ability to talk but can't, up to my stage, which is 7, which you can talk not as fast as you'd like to, but you can talk, and stages in between. And with a stroke, I have lost the right hand side of my body. I went to my doctor. I got a small little lump on my neck. It was less than half a pea, and he had a look at it. He goes, "Okay, I'll send you the MRI done at Northampton." I go there. They do the MRI. They look at it. They say, "Okay, that's cautious, but we'll send you to Oxford to have the MRI done." So I've already had one MRI. Off to Oxford. I meet and she said, "Yeah, we've had the look at it. We've got a small lump there. It's an hour and a half operation at max, and you'll be out the following day." I said, "Crack on." So I went there to have an operation, and I was semi-conscious. So they were saying, "Well, we'll keep you semi-conscious to know what's going on." And I honestly don't know how long this took, but at some point I become aware of the pain. Now I turn around to the anaesthetist and says, "I'm a 30 years martial arts expert, so I do pain, but this is beyond me. Can you knock me out?" He says, "Well, give it half an hour, see if it dulls down." Half an hour came and went, and the anaesthetist, I spoke to the anaesthetist and said, "I prefer you to put me under." So there's a rustle of instruments, and I'm gone. Now, unbeknown to me, the operation lasted 10 hours. Wow. Yep. And they had opened the side of my neck. They found the lump, which is a small, was cancerous, but they wouldn't half a pea big. It wrapped all around my brain to my, what do you call it, arteries, to lead to my brain. So they had a choice. They had a choice. Leave it alone or take it out. And they went for take it out. I had to take one of only 4 brains we have linked, to take one of them out. So I have now 3 brains instead of 4. I was put into ICU, and they came around and told my ex-wife, "I've got a 5% chance of living." So I lived in 10 days in ICU, of which 10 days I know nothing about, apart from one thing. Rob, my best friend, he squeezed my hand, I squeezed him back. He took it then. Actually, he actually said I squeezed it twice, but I only remember once. They would fight for me. And by day 2, I was up to 20% chance of living. And day 3, I don't know. And by the end of the 10 days, we're out in hospital in the stroke ward, and between Oxford and then transfer to Northampton, where I was out for 6 months. I couldn't speak. I could only say yes, no, and a swear word. That was for the nurses. I came out 6 months later, and I could just about move my leg so I could walk. And to cut a very long story short, I now have minimal use of my arm, which you've already seen. It's about 10%. The leg, I get about 40% movement, so I can walk with my leg. They all, amongst the many operations they did, like Botox through my what do you call it, through my throat to enable speaking. That didn't work. In the end, they another along here to try and get the voice activated. And what was really frustrating to me was everybody was speaking around me, but not to me, because I couldn't speak. They you're mad. You don't speak.
But were you fully aware? You were hearing everything, understanding everything. You just weren't able to communicate back.
100%.
Oh wow! So that must have been really frustrating.
Well, the day before I came into the hospital, I was working as an MD.
Yeah.
I was the California Superbike School through and through. A good 20 years I've been doing it, and I couldn't say anything to anybody.
How did that feel? I mean, because obviously you're someone who has, a real history of being very physical, very fit. Your martial arts, your running, the superbike stuff. What was the aspect that you found the most difficult? Was it the inability to physically be able to get up and walk around as you used to, or the inability to communicate the way you used to, or was it the both?
Both. In fact, it got to a point after I've left hospital, I think it was a year, my ex-wife, Donna, I told her to go to the kitchen and get the sharpest knife. I was going to end it then. That was the lowest of my low. Mm-hmm. She refused me, thank goodness. Thank you, Donna. Yes, and from that day on, it was upwards and onwards.
So that was a turning point for you.
Definitely. It must be a year and a half into the operation. Well, it's gone, the operation, but it's still there. It was to see I can move onwards and upwards now. What are my goals? My first goal is to walk around the garden. I literally, once around the garden, I was knackered.
Yeah, of course.
And that came on till 2017. We did the Marathon Des Sables, which, for those who are not aware of that, it's 5, 6, 7 marathons in 5 days in the Sahara Desert.
I was not expecting that. I was thinking the extraordinary achievement was recovering from a stroke.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's really interesting because this isn't the only sort of mad challenge. He explains a bit more later on.
Oh, okay.
It's just the resilience, isn't it?
Yeah.
So going from walking around your garden to the toughest race on earth.
Gosh.
As you will know, John, as someone who's signed up for it.
Yeah.
I managed 2 days, but we ran out of time on the second day. We would have gladly made it, mm-hmm. But with the time difference it had of 10 hours and 30 minutes, we ran out of time. We could see the final camp from where we stood, but we lost time.
Oh,
We didn't complete it, which is a real bummer, but it's also jolly good.
So I asked Andy if this was something that he always wanted to do. I mean, MDS isn't on my bucket list, but he was actually signed up to do it before he had the stroke.
I see, right.
So I think for him, being able to get himself there throughout his rehabilitation and post-recovery was quite a significant achievement.
Right. It was definitely a bucket list. I had to do it. Given I was such a strong martial artist, I never did any running. Never. I was good for about 5 minutes, and I was knackered completely. But my friend Rob was into running. He had already done the Marathon Des Sables, he'd done this, done that, and I said, "Okay, teach me to run." And I remember the very first day before the stroke, we had a little loop which was 1, 2, 3, 4 hills on the route, and he said, "Well, we'll run those then." I said, "Okay, that'll be fine." We got to the bottom of the first hill, and I was knackered.
So you're telling me you signed up? You signed up for the toughest run in the world with very minimal running experience?
Yes. Right. Vinny says to me, "You can jump out of the plane." I'll do it. I'll be frightened as hell. I'll do it.
Okay.
If you say swim across the channel, I can't swim, but I'll do it.
So I'd be interested to know how much of Andy's personality has been shaped by the stroke, or if he was like this beforehand. This, I'm going to do anything to give everything a go.
Well, I do ask him that actually, so let's hear what he says.
Well, I think it's always been there, but I've always been close. Like martial arts was a tie-in, motorbikes was a tie-in, racing motorbikes was a tie-in, 27 Broken Bones was a tie-in, blah blah blah. So yes, I think it was, but now I've come to this side of the stroke. I want challenges.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we as a stroke survivor, I've got half my body. The right hand side is useless, but my left hand side is good. So my left hand side pushes my right hand side to do it. It may not be awkward, shall we say? Well, it is awkward. You know, I can't move the right hand side correctly. We have to have a special shoe on my right hand side to balance my body up. You know, it's quite a task to get going, but I'm doing it. I have another challenge for next year, March next year.
Yes.
Everest. We go as far as the Everest Base Camp. After that, which I can't do, after that requires oxygen. I am petrified of heights.
Just trying to get a sort of a grasp of your sort of attitude to life, because you seem so upbeat and positive. And I know you've mentioned, because one thing we ask all our interviewees is, we call it the pit and the peak, the highest point and the lowest point. You've already kind of indicated sort of post-recovery where your lowest point was. Have we hit a peak, or are we still, is that, do you think that's going to be Everest?
There'll be something after Everest. I don't know what it yet. There was something somewhere will survive. I'll do it. It could be walk to the North Pole, or walk to the South Pole, or climb the highest mountain from its depths in the sea. So what it is, but I do know Well, there is one thing just after my Everest trip, the swimming thing, I've taken on a triathlon.
Wow.
So,
So that's
I
running,
can,
cycling, and swimming.
yes,
Okay.
I can do the cycling all right. Running, well, that would be a walk.
Mm-hmm.
I just cannot run. And swimming, I haven't got a clue yet.
I love it, but you just know that you're just going to crack on and get on with it.
Yeah. Up to the point of the stroke, I had many people, famous people, and not during the school. And I would teach them how to ride the bikes better. What's changed, I suppose, is coming out this side of the stroke and knowing that there are things I cannot do, but I will give it a go. Whatever it is, I'll give it a go. If you mean to put me in a ring with Muhammad Ali, I'll give it a go. You know, I know all these things. I will try them. I'll probably get the beep, beep, beep out of me, but I'll try them. I'll try them.
Amazing. And is this something that's important to you as part of the recovery process, just to keep these challenges?
Yeah, because this is an important part for me, and for anybody else wants to try it, have a goal. Set yourself a goal. My current goal is Everest, then it's triathlon, then it's something else or something else. I mean, crikey, I'm 56 years old. I should be rolling up a slipper somewhere and lying out and go, oh,
No.
but I'm still fighting. I'm fighting. Yeah, that's the best word I can use.
It's amazing. So you've gone from goal number 1 to walk around the garden to Everest triathlon. I mean, it's amazing. So it'd be great to get a little bit more insight into the recovery process. So you talked about that sort of that dark moment when you kind of thought, you know what, I can't really do this, to then flipping it around and thinking, no. Was it a case of lots of little steps, or was the bigger goal in mind?
No, it's been lots and lots of little steps. Little steps like walking around the garden. Complete waste of my energy. I walked around the garden and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
To walking down the road and back, to walking around the village, to walking to the next village. And eventually, I just kept going. 24 miles, I can do it. My brain says, go for it. My voice says, you've got to be joking. You know, I couldn't remember your name, not until I looked it up. Now I've got your name again.
Oh, it happens to the best of us, Andy. I mean,
yeah, I know, but at least I've got a reason why.
You've got a good excuse.
Well, yeah, but I've only got half a brain. You've only got half a brain when you test the theory out. The left-hand side of my brain is useless. The right-hand side does everything. You know, it's not just the physical aspect; it's the mental aspect as well. So you will retrain your brain to say, I won't do it, death. I will turn that around into life. I will go and find me something every day. So as I said, it was still small steps, and it will still be small steps for me. Somebody, my friend Rob, will say after a month, he say you improved really well, but I don't feel any different to what I felt 10 years ago.
Really?
It is different, I know, but my brain can think of coming into the hospital, chatting away with me, but I couldn't speak. and the speech has slowly been getting better. There are still mistakes like numbers and calendars. They'll up here at my head, they'll say 23rd of November. It'll come out 2nd of October.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, hang on. But to be fair, just numbers and maybe dates on a calendar, I rework that again and then say it properly. But it's a task.
And is this something you're having to work on constantly as part of your sort of rehabilitation?
Definitely.
Okay.
Part of my rehabilitation was to have I call them a nurse, but she was more than a speech organization, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she helped me a lot with the first 6 months of training. And the first with the 6 months is I had to start again. You know, it was fine writing with that hand, but I can't do that any more. My right hand is completely useless. So I have to start again with my left. And that is like starting again. It is like starting again. Give me a keyboard anytime.
Yeah.
But it is slow. I mean, as well as my job, my previous 2 jobs were working as a motorcycle journalist. So with fast bikes and with motorcycle news, keyboard, no problem. You want a story, bang, there you go, it's done. If they ask me now, I can do that stuff, but twice, if not 3 times as long.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It does.
No, of course. I'd love to find out a little bit more about the decision to retake on the MDS challenge post recovery. At what stage did you think, actually, I'm going to go for this again? And what was the process you had to go through in terms of rehab, in terms of training, to get yourself to the start line of that event?
I saw an advert in one of the in a Scope, it's a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading it online, and they had some people. They have 5-6 people go with them, provided you provide them with lots of money, which you must do.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't. I had cancelled my MDS because I couldn't even speak. And this one came along. It gives 18 months to train to get better and to do it. So I went to my friend Rob and his my friend John, who is the physio expert around here. He's physical all over the world. He's been. I said, right, I want to do MDS. I can do it through Scope, can provide us the means, but we've got to raise money for them. We had to raise £8,000 each.
Yeah, it's
And
not a small task.
Yeah. But we did it. We did fundraising. We did eventually we managed to raise £27,000, 27,000 pounds.
7,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I always get that wrong.
I mean, that's incredible. It's such a huge sum of money.
Yeah, we bought ourselves something to do every month that people could get involved with. They could, like for instance, we were in Coventry with Scope in their shop and ran for the entire amount they were open.
Wow.
You know? and that gives a little bit.
Really amazing.
One question. What university did you go to?
I went to Brunel for my undergrad, and then I did my master's at Edinburgh.
Okay. I'm in university too. I'm in my second year.
And what are you studying?
Sports psychology.
How is this just coming into the conversation now? So this is for a degree, MSc?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
Fantastic. Congratulations. How's it going?
It's hard. It's very hard. I'm not in the third year yet, but it's hard.
Good for you.
So
So you really don't give yourself any downtime, Andy?
No, I can't. This is the point of me, is I can't. If I try and do something that would make me feel relaxed, no way. I have to be energized. I have to be in it all the time. Even if I fall asleep halfway through it, that's fine. But as long as I've tried it first.
Okay. And what is that something that you've always experienced in terms of always having to be on the go, or is that something that you find more prevalent now?
It's more prevalent now. When I was running the Superbike School, that was fine. I can do that. It was fine. Coming back with the stroke, it's been difficult, but I can train people again as and when required. Like I was at Three Sisters racetrack 2 days ago teaching people.
Amazing.
Just trying.
And does it feel nice getting back into that?
Yeah, it does. I'm nowhere near the ability that I used to have, but I'm now a little bit closer to it now.
Yeah, of course.
Things will come and things will go, and you never know what comes around the corner. I was fine on the Monday, on the Sunday, stroke.
Mm-hmm.
How can you click that? You can't. You cannot do it, and you have to get on with it. You have to learn things like driving a car.
Mm-hmm.
I can only drive a car with a left-hand throttle.
Of course, yeah.
Couldn't do it with gears and before. Taking the gears out and giving them automatic. That's fine. I can do it.
Okay.
But it takes some people time to learn how to do it. I was lucky. I rode India motorcycles, which have all the throttle is on the left. So I knew what left in meant, but I had to get in a car. I screwed up literally the first 10 meters. And from that, I was fine.
Okay.
But you have to go and think about it and then try it.
Of course. I mean, Andy, it took me quite a few times to pass my driving test, so I got there in the end. And I promised you I wouldn't take up too much of your time, and we're kind of nearing the 40 minutes. So just as we come to a close, I'd love to hear about what inspires you, whether that, who or what has been your biggest inspiration, because you're certainly a hugely inspiring character, and I wonder if you've been inspired by either an event or an individual or something in your life that's helped kind of motivate you.
No, because I'm just a normal bloke. That's it. I do odd things with my time. I'm a normal bloke. I can't say to do anything, but the things you do will be at their forefront. I mean, I had to learn to eat again. I couldn't. Not only could I not swallow, I couldn't eat either. And now I eat a 4-course meal. Takes some time, but I eat 4-course meal. If you have a goal, set it.
Yeah.
If it's a high goal, that's fine. Set 3, 4, 5, or maybe even 10 steps toward getting that goal. Anything you can do it. just depends whether you're prepared to take the time or not. That's really it. That's
Amazing. Fantastic.
So since I did this interview with Andy, he did make it to Nepal, and he did make an attempt to get to Everest Base Camp. Unfortunately, didn't quite make it. And you've heard him speak. It wasn't that he had to quit for any other reason than he just couldn't cross the bridges.
Right.
So you've got to think, even with the Sherpa on both sides, with someone who only has the ability to move one side of their body,
And then the bridges are
these
rocking.
are really tiny rope bridges.
Yeah.
So he did have to quit. But, I mean, you've heard from what he was saying. I don't really think that's the reason he signs up for these things.
Yeah, he said, didn't he? He said that, so with Marathon Des Sables, there's a, having obviously done a bit of research now into this, there's two camels, and they are sort of they bring up, the blood wagon, they bring up the rear of the course, and if you end up behind the camels, you have to drop out.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so so he went to Marathon Des Sables despite, having had to relearn to walk again, and got caught by the camels, and then this has happened here. But he said, I'll do it, and I might get beaten up, but I'll get back up again, and
I'll still try.
I'll still try, and that's incredible that he's willing to say, do you know what? So many people are scared to death of not finishing something that they never even put themselves out there and go and experience it.
Yeah, and I find this really admirable, that it isn't the completion of the task, it's just the fact that he wants the challenge.
Yeah.
And I love how he describes himself as just a normal bloke who does odd things. And I think that is really incredible, and how he just doesn't want to let this new sort of way of life define him.
Yeah. It's almost, I mean, the things that he's put the challenges he's given himself are not necessarily the extraordinary achievement of Andy Ibbott. It's
what makes him extraordinary is the fact that he doesn't think of himself as extraordinary, number one, but two, he just wants to crack on.
And getting on with that recovery. And I imagine, Andy's obviously a great spokesperson for, there must be lots of people out there who've had a stroke who have this same thing of, right, okay, well, this is life, let's get on with it, let's crack on. And then having to relearn all those things, I can just imagine the frustration of having to relearn to eat, to write, to speak.
Oh, I mean, it's just, you can't even get your head around it. But also being someone who was the MD of a superbike school.
Yes, the California Superbike School is a really, I think he had people like Valentino Rossi, World Championship, this is...
I mean, he was dealing with these amazing people as an expert in his field, and also being someone who is naturally very athletic. He mentions his martial arts.
Yeah.
He's out, he's active, and then to wake up to not be able to do any of those things again is quite scary.
And I love that attitude that I'm just going to get on with it. And so, what are we going to put in our toolbox?
Well, I think he makes it really quite clear. Obviously he's got a super positive mindset that he really had to turn around from reaching rock bottom. But, he talks about just having a goal and breaking that up into little steps.
Baby steps. Yeah, that's so important, isn't it? Because so many people, look at something and think it's unachievable. And I guess that's why some things like, the Couch to 5K, is it an app? I think it was an app. The NHS put out an app. And what was great, that just broke it down into baby steps, didn't it? Like, it didn't say, right, okay, day one, you're going to go out and try and run 5K. It was like, right, you're going to run for a minute, walk for 2. And for Andy, it was, right, I'm going to walk around my garden, and then I'm going to walk to the end of the road. And these are the challenges on the way that make that big, scary goal achievable.
Because it isn't one big, scary goal, it's climbing the ladder.
Yeah. So that's definitely got to go in there. And what about, as well, just getting rid of that fear of failure? Of saying, do you know what, whether I do it or not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to go give it my best shot.
Yeah, and at no point does he ever mention fear of failure, and he doesn't really have any doubt. And even talking about MDS, wasn't disappointed that he didn't complete it. And you've got to think that kind of event probably attracts a certain type of character who is determined to make it to the end, come make or break. And he's just, I love that he's being proud of himself for just giving it a go.
And being there,
And that's something I'm really trying to talk to the kids about. You know, it's not the winning, it's the taking part, really.
Exactly.
It's going right back to basics.
Putting yourself into it to begin with. So, going into our Extraordinary Toolkit this week, baby steps, setting small, achievable goals or breaking big challenges down into smaller parts and embracing the journey rather than the destination to rid ourselves of the fear of failure.
I love this interview. He was such an amazing person to speak to, super positive, and a massive inspiration. I'm
quite excited to see what he comes up with next. I mean, the triathlon, obviously, for someone who can't swim, is going to be fun.
I mean, I'm a bit worried about that. But no, I'm definitely keeping an eye on his next challenge.
You've been listening to Extraordinariness, our podcast about ordinary people's extraordinary accomplishments. If you've been enjoying it, please like, subscribe, pass the pod around, and check back to extraordinariness.com for more. The show was produced by Joanne Spence and myself, John Harmon. Music was by Coma Media from Pixabay. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.